She's got her red tutu and her clown wig and some kind of antennas. Are you not going to look?
How long have you been standing there? I'm trying to get in the zone. I'm channeling everything.
Long enough. I've been standing here long enough. I've been talking about you the entire time. What were you doing?
Well, you know that I'm laser focused whenever I'm working. And I just thought you were talking to yourself like you normally do.
Well,
so,
no. But
anyway,
I do talk to myself a lot. Though.
Well, glad you're here.
In all fairness.
Now I can get all this stuff off and get ready for our filming.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Chat Sessions with Steph and Seth.
Episode 2.
Episode 2. And this is also kind of our fall meets Halloween episode. We are really excited that you decided to join us again today.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. It's going to be a really busy week. Probably one of the more fun weeks of the entire year, though.
Yeah, and I'm kicking it off. I got my nails done by men. Yesterday, got my fall color.
Very nice.
Getting ready for...
Very nice.
The weather dropped, so we can now officially wear fall clothes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and
long
it got
live
cold.
The tall boots.
It got a little cold outside, so the long sleeve season has started.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but the colors are changing where I live.
Overnight.
Yes.
Literally.
And they went from they were brown. I thought they were dead. I didn't really think that we would get a lot of colors. I really thought that we had just kind of bypassed over that, and they've stared blossoming. They're doing
I know.
good.
And you remember back in science, I guess we'll call it elementary school just because I don't know what grade, but where you learned about like chlorophyll and leaves and what makes leaves change colors, and that they really are dead, but that's when their true beauty shines forth. And just a lot
there's a sermon in there somewhere.
There's a sermon in there, but I just was thinking about that as I was driving home a little bit ago.
Oh yeah.
I just looked up and all the trees were orange and red and
They
yellow.
are. It's like overnight they happened.
That's right.
So one of the big things is Halloween is only a couple of days away.
That's right.
The countdown is on. I have always loved Halloween, and we celebrated a little bit differently in my house just through the years as either my brother and sister and I either grew up or just different ways we celebrated differently. But Halloween season is approaching.
I know. I bought my candy today.
Oh, really?
Getting ready for trick-or-treaters. I walked into the neighborhood market.
You spent a tiny fortune on it, I'm sure.
I only had to take out a second mortgage.
Exactly. Because, candy's expensive.
One bag was $15.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But it was good. I don't buy the cheap stuff. I buy the chocolate stuff.
The good.
Yeah.
Yes.
People want to come to my house.
Otherwise, they'll egg your house or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the only one in the cul-de-sac without kids, and so all the kids come to my house and they have great expectations, so I have to deliver.
Oh, yeah. Do you buy the full-size candy bars or the tiny ones?
I buy the tiny ones, but I give my favorites multiples.
Oh, yeah.
And if I really don't like your costume, I just give you one.
Oh, okay. All
kind of an incentive to...
So, on average, where you live, how many trick-or-treaters do you get? Because I only get about, I'd say 10, maybe.
It's in the hundreds.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, see, I don't get very many. I can buy one bag of candy where I live right now and be set because I only get 10 trick-or-treaters.
I bought 275 pieces, I think, just a few minutes ago. I think I spent about $40.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be enough. I still have to make a Sam's run to get the bigger
thing. Wow. So it's not just the people in your cul-de-sac, it's just the entire community where you
live.
And
people will come into the neighborhood from other communities. Or the folks in this neighborhood will invite their friends to trick-or-treat with them because we really have a safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
And pretty much, not that the roads are closed off, but people really just park and walk.
Yeah.
Or park at someone's house and walk. And so there's not a lot of traffic.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good. But it's always a fun time of year. What are some of your favorite costumes you've seen, in the past when kids have come in? Because I know a little later on in the show we're going to talk about what the most popular costumes are going to be for this year, and how is it different than when you grew up? Because I know the costumes are quite a bit my nephew is going as something that I've never heard of in my life because I don't have kids. But it's some cartoon on the Nickelodeon network or something, and his costume is so detailed. It's no longer taking a sheet and cutting out two eyes to make yourself a ghost. Yeah. It's top level stuff.
So just the other day, I think it was last weekend, my cousin's neighborhood down in Mississippi, I guess, had a fall carnival where kids got to do a trial run on their Halloween costumes.
Oh, yeah.
And her two boys were dressed as what's the guy on Moana? the guy with the sword. I'm drawing a blank.
Anyway, it's The Rock, but it's not The Rock. The Rock is the person who voiced the character.
Him. So the older boy was dressed up as him, and then the baby was dressed up as Hey, the chicken.
Oh, okay.
And our family loves that movie, and we especially love Hey because we all grew up on the farm.
Oh yeah.
Where we had chickens and all that stuff running around, and so we just love Hey in that movie because it's so funny.
Yes.
And then their neighbor, their little girl went as Moana, so they kind of had the three main characters.
They had a theme going on.
And I just thought that was the most precious thing because Gray had the big wig like the dude did in the movie. Yeah. I mean, he had the full wig, and then it was fun.
That's awesome.
He's gonna hate his mom when he gets older.
Oh,
and it was great.
Gosh, there are pictures.
But so far this year,
my mom has pictures of things that I would never want to show anybody.
So far this year, that's been my favorite costume that I've seen. However, we still have a little bit of time to go. So I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and on Halloween night, you're gonna see so many cool.
But
things.
The kids this day and age have come a long way from the days when I was little. Granted. It's been a minute, but we would wear those plastic masks like Bugs Bunny.
Oh yeah,
plastic masks with the plastic suits, and I mean you would sweat to high heaven. It was so hot, but
I remember my mom made me dress up as a lion one year. I was a lion, and the costume had fur on the outside of it. I'm sure I was sweating. I don't remember it. But I'm sure I was burning up inside there. But she made me wear that. I had a mane around my face, and then I grew up in a relatively religious household. My dad's a preacher, and so younger years, I got to go trick-or-treating. Older years, it wasn't that my parents were against trick-or-treating or against Halloween at all. It was just that our church would put on a fall festival, a big fall festival. And it just got to where nobody would dress up. They didn't mind if people dressed up. Nobody really dressed up. But you would go around and it was like a fall carnival and they would play games. And it always happened on Halloween night. That was just the night that they set it up. So we did that for a long time too. But looking back now, I definitely want to take my kids one day trick-or-treating. Because I feel like that's such a thing when you're a kid. That's such a staple that I want to keep going with my kids. Even though I didn't get to do a lot of it. I did it probably till I was 6 or 7. But after that, I want to make sure my kids get to trick-or-treat.
Absolutely. Well, when I grew up...
If it's safe. Well, that's the big thing.
When I grew up, it was... I grew up in a very small town, and everybody knew everybody. And so when we went trick-or-treating... my parents would just kind of be around. We just would run from house to house to house, and we knew when that particular whistle or call came that, not phone call, but yelling call came, we needed to get back to where they were. Yeah. And now, oh my gosh, I mean, you can't let your kid out of your sight.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many horror stories, really. Right. I mean, pardon the pun, but there's so many horror stories about people putting razor blades and candy and drugs and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like if you know your community and you're doing your due diligence, I still think Halloween, or at least trick-or-treating, it definitely has a place because it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. Yep. So the other day I sent you a list. We were just talking randomly about Halloween, and I sent you a list of what the top Halloween costumes are going to be this year.
Yes.
Or what the predictions are for the top Halloween costumes for the year. And I always find this really funny because they take from pop culture and lots of different things that have happened, lots of crazy movies and TV shows over the course of the year make up what the top Halloween costumes are going to be. And the ones that I sent you, which we're going to reveal here in a minute, did it surprise you what those are going to be this year?
No, because the number one costume on the list I had already purchased and sent to my nieces.
Oh, really?
And my nephew has his costume as well. And and they were just infatuated with this particular character. Yeah. And of course, Thomas wanted one that correlated as well. And then I get a picture of Thomas in the girl's costume. So,
hey, whatever
it's
works.
Just whatever works.
Whatever works, whatever you're feeling. That's what Halloween's all about. Yeah.
So it's no wonder that Wonder Woman is our number one.
Wonder Woman is supposed to be the number one costume of the year, which the movie did incredibly well. I don't know if you got to go see it this summer. Did incredibly well. And, it opened up a lot of discussions about women in Hollywood and can women carry movies, and obviously they can because the movie grossed $700 and something million this summer. So that's been a big women's empowerment thing throughout the year as well.
Did you notice the spiritual tones under that movie though?
I did some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them I picked up on, and then some of them I didn't catch until I was reading articles later on, and I was like, oh.
Like how Gal Gadot was Israeli, and it was...
Exactly. So Wonder Woman is number 1. Number 2...
I was not familiar with this.
Number 2 is Pennywise, the clown, which is the clown from Stephen King's It. So they remade It this year, and it's been in theaters now for a couple of weeks, and so that, very scary clown, he eats children and all of this stuff.
That's why I'm not familiar.
Yeah. You're not a big horror movie fan, right?
I don't.
You don't really like horror movies.
I don't watch horror movies.
But Pennywise the Clown is supposed to be the second top costume this year. Third is kind of a collective, and that's the characters from Game of Thrones.
Gosh, Game of Thrones has been in the top 4 to 5 every year.
Every year.
Even
it's
groom's
so
cakes
popular.
and weddings and birthday cakes and
people have Game of Thrones weddings,
yes,
and I want to be like, if you've watched that show, there's never been a good wedding on that show. People always are like mass murdered, or somebody's head gets cut off or something during every wedding. Why would you want to? I don't know. I don't understand
the costume
that, but
and the regalia.
they must do it. I don't know. But Game of Thrones is 3, and the final one is, and I don't know if you've watched this on Netflix yet, but it's so good. Is the characters from Stranger Things?
What's that about?
So it's basically.
Is that Stephanie?
It's a
grade rate, or is it?
I think you should watch it simply because it's becoming such a phenomenon like Game of Thrones has been.
Okay.
But it's not the same thing as Game of Thrones. There's not nearly as much nudity for one. But Stranger Things is about these kids in the 80s, and they live in this town, and there's some crazy activity going on in the town, and that's about all that I'll say, because I don't want to spoil it for any of the watchers, and I don't want to spoil it for you. But first season is out on Netflix. Second season comes out October 27th, so I'm counting down the days here. It's really good. I would suggest it. So those characters are also considered to be really, really good. Speaking of characters, like, what is your go-to Halloween movie? Like, if you're going to sit down on the night before Halloween or whatever, what is your go-to thing that you would watch? Or is there some kind of tradition of, like, your family would always watch? I know my family, we would always sit down and watch It's the Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown Pumpkin. We would always watch that
when we were little.
Yeah.
But when we got older, we just nobody in our family really watches horror movies.
That
just wasn't but we would watch something silly, like maybe Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
That's not scary at all. No, but it has kind of a scary name.
I got you.
We just didn't.
Just not a big horror movie.
No, we didn't watch horror
movies. And still not to this day. You won't go to the theater and watch one?
Never.
She's like,
never.
No,
I'm
not doing that.
When I was in college, I did go see Scream, and I did see Blair Witch Project.
I liked Blair Witch Project.
I will tell you, I did not sleep for about a month.
Well, okay, so I can't believe I'm going to say this to the internet world, but when I was little, the movie Hocus Pocus really freaked me out. With Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker and all of them. I don't know why. I've watched it 1,000 times since then, and it's funny. It's a funny movie. It's supposed to be like a fun kids movie. No, she looked at those kids and she was talking about how she was going to steal their soul, and it freaked me out when I was like 5 or 6. When I remember I was staying the night at my sister's house. My sister was already married at the time, because she's her and my brother are quite a bit older than I am, and she couldn't understand why I was so freaked out about this movie, but I was. But that's also one that I like to watch now. It's Hocus Pocus.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
But as far as like traditions and everything go, anything that y'all do, my mom always made us make. We always had to do caramel apples. She would always make caramel apples, and she would make popcorn balls. Do you remember popcorn balls? Have you ever had one?
Gosh, I've had one, but it's been a very
long time, right? Yeah. I know.
We did more of the apples and stuff, but with our family, because I have such a large family.
Yes.
My grandmother and grandfather had 26 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh!
And my grandmother was a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah. And
she loved Halloween. Was her favorite holiday of the year, and this is awesome. A very godly woman, but she loved Halloween. Her birthday.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Her birthday
fun.
Is October 27th, and so she just was that Halloween baby, and Halloween's always been her favorite. She loves a good dress up and a good theme.
Oh yeah.
And so every Halloween we would all go down to her house, and they live out in the country on the farm. And so she would have ghosts made out of white fabric and just have their eyes, and she'd have like back when you could get LED, or back when those battery operated lights were just coming out, she would put them like little beady eyes and stuff in the ghost in the trees, and then she would have bat sounds, and then she loved to do all this vocal stuff. So she would take the cassette player and she would record all of her vocal scary sounds. Yeah. And so one year I remember it was all the witchy stuff. She had the cauldron, or the big black kettle with the dry ice coming out of it, and then there was the orange light in the middle, and then of the cauldron, and then in the background was her witchy stuff. You could just kind of see her doing this, and she always had her witch's hat on. It didn't matter what her theme was. She always wore her witch's hat.
She just enjoyed it.
She did. She loved it. And as kids, we would be scared to death as we were walking up her front steps. And as soon as we would get to the front door, she'd turn on all the lights. And because out in the country it gets really dark.
Yes.
And but she went all out.
That's awesome. And there's nothing better than seeing somebody who really enjoys something getting to do what they really enjoy doing. Yeah. Like, that's awesome. Let me ask you this. What do you think is the cap limit as far as age goes on trick-or-treating?
When you get in the 6th grade, you're done.
Okay. I agree. By like 12, I'm like, okay.
You're done.
Like when you hit teenage years, I feel like you're like...
Yeah, because up until about that age, you probably have younger siblings.
Yeah.
So you gotta, be a help to your parents and get around, and it's just kind of fun sometimes. But, but I think, there's definitely an age limit.
Oh, I do too. I definitely think so. Yeah. But, well, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a lot of fun.
More pictures. I'll take some pictures this year. We can share them.
Yes, we'll have to share them with everybody on...
With our favorite costumes.
Yes, with our favorite costumes. We'll have to share them with everybody on our new Instagram.
Yes.
We have a new Instagram account. It's at ChatSessionSS. Very original, I know. Thank you very much. No, but we do have...
because both of our initials are SS.
We're both SS's, so SS squared. That's what we should have called ourselves. You always think about the best things later on.
That's okay.
But no, so follow the new Instagram. We'll post some pictures of kind of how our Halloweens go. I don't usually dress up like to give out candy. I've gone to a couple of Halloween parties, like especially while I was in college, and I tend to kind of curve toward like the punny side, things that are like puns. And I'll tell you, to this day, one of my favorite Halloween outfits that I've ever done, one of my favorite costumes, only cost me like $1.98, and that was because I took a white t-shirt and I took a Sharpie and I wrote the word life on my shirt, and I had a bag of lemons and I walked around a party giving people lemons, and I was life and I was giving people lemons. And it was right? It takes a minute. Like, it takes a minute to sink in. And then people are like, when life gives you lemons. And I had a shirt on that said life. And people loved, like, it was, which, people love anything when you're at a Halloween party as an adult. Just that's, like, punny. But I literally walked around. I know, I just blew your mind. I know I did.
I can tell you,
but it's a fun time.
The only costume I've worn for Halloween as an adult was the Publishers Clearinghouse winner.
You went as the Publishers Clearinghouse winner?
Yeah, as the woman in the house robe with the rollers and the cigarette and the
And if you're going to a Halloween party and you don't show up in costume, like, that's a violation. Shame on you. That's a violation. If you're not going to put in the effort, even if it's just to write life on your shirt and hand out lemons, like, if you're not going to at least put in some kind of effort, don't go. Like, that just brings down the mood for everybody else.
So, actually I did go to a Halloween party last year, and my friend went as a female farmer. So you can imagine the pigtails and the freckles and the overalls, and it was kind of fun. And
looking like they stepped out of...
Daisy May.
Yeah.
Except she had on big Smiths. And and then I think I threw on like a Hawaiian shirt and a grass skirt or something. Yeah, but I really didn't put a lot of...
No, but I mean, you don't have to... But that's the other point, is you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good time and to like put yourself into character. You can do... I've seen people just get things out of their closet and become somebody else.
Exactly.
Or their version of somebody else. Yes. Last year during Halloween, I was out on Dixon, and we were out, and there was this couple dressed... this guy had a suit on, and then she had a pantsuit on, and they had giant masks of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, because this was right before the election last year.
Yes.
And those poor people, I was the first person to go up and ask for a picture. I'm not going to lie. I went up and I told them, I was like, can I please have a picture with y'all? Oh, I'm putting a picture in with this. I will show y'all. As a matter of fact, I think I'm wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing now in that picture. But I will put the picture up. And there is one of them has a giant face of Donald Trump, one of them has a giant face of Hillary Clinton, and I'm literally in the center, like all hugged up with both of them. And by the time we got our picture done, there was a line of 20 people who were ready to take a picture with these two people because their costumes were so good.
Making a statement.
That was making a statement. And it was right before the election, so they were like prime. It was my profile picture for a while, like through the election. And then once the election was over, it didn't matter anymore. And I was like, oh, whatever. And nobody cared. But it's a good time, and the point is just have fun. I think that's all we've got for today.
You got anything else? No, I'm ready to go dig into some of that Halloween candy. I know. We're like looking at it. Right? It's in like the line of sight. I know. There's Eminem calling my name.
I know. All right, thanks guys so much. Make sure to remember we post these videos every week, so continue to watch, subscribe to the channel, and follow us. We'll put the information to our show Instagram and both of our Instagrams below. And let us know what you think about the show and what you want us to talk about next. Just post your topics in the comments below, and we'll see what we can do.
That's right.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Have a good one.
No way.
Hey, this damn update on my phone, like, it'll let me do it.
Oh, I haven't done it yet. I refuse.
So,
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
So no.
Those were really organic because it was pretty funny. Just, whatever it is we want to do.
Is this thing rolling? You're gonna laugh whenever I.
So.
All right. We're gonna have to have some counseling over that because let me just tell you.